What's up, everybody? Before we start this episode of the podcast, I want to do the big giveaway for the month of April, even though we're now into May, but this is for the advanced copy of our friend Mir's book, The Houdini Club, The Epic Journey, Enduring Escapes of the First Army Rangers. So I have all of our names in a bin here. We're going to give it a shaky shake, 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 shake. I'm going to pull out a name here. And the winner is Mr. Connor Trent. Congratulations, sir. Connor Trent, you are the winner of the April giveaway of the Houdini Club. I will reach out to you on Patreon. Please log in and check your messages. I'll get your address and we'll get this book and some stickers sent out your way. Congratulations. And a reminder, if you guys wanted the opportunity to win on the next Patreon giveaway, please head over to whatsthescuttlebutt.com, whatsinyourhead.com, or d-410.com. Click on the Patreon link, sign up, and subscribe. All you have to do is be an active subscriber to be eligible for the next giveaway. Thank you guys so much. On with the show.
Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the
Your company name here.
studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast.
What's up, OG5? We're back. Barely. We had to cancel the show last night due to a family emergency. Well, not that type of family emergency, the real emergency, like not having the ability to take a poop or have warm water. But luckily, I'm a fella who knows some fellas. And Mike was able to come over and help us out. It took a little longer than we anticipated because, well, my turd ring was broken and my floor wouldn't stay mounted to my toilet. So we had to fix that. Shout out to Mike for making toilet flanges fit the way they're not supposed to fit in order to prevent me from having to bust up my concrete slab to replace my toilet flange. Because, you know, why not? And so we got that taken care of. You know, it only took from like, I don't know, 6 to 8:30, 9 o'clock. Mike probably got home at 10 last night. But luckily I had the ability to take a warm shower after all that. But you know, it got me thinking, actually, ironically, this topic popped up earlier in the day before I had to call Mike. Actually, to be honest, I was going to handle the water heater myself, and Mike said, well, let me come over and take a gander at it. Besides, I need to fix your toilet because we'd already pre-planned that. We didn't realize how fucked up that was. But earlier in the day, I got a text. I got a text back from somebody. Asked me to fix their computer.
Oh boy.
And now this wouldn't be a thing, except for this is one of those types of people who don't text you unless they want something. And here's why I say that. Yesterday was the 30th. I texted them on the 21st. Said, hey, who's your tattoo artist? Nothing. 9 days later, oh, sorry, I just got your message. Okay, texted you 9 days ago, but you just got my message. My tattoo artist name is this. Go look it up on Facebook. Okay, cool, thanks. Very next text. Hey, can you fix my? Okay, it all falls in line now. You know, because last time you texted me is when your family member had a flat tire 2 miles from my house, and you needed me to go change it. But other than that, don't ever fucking hear from you. So you guys have that person in your family who, you know, the only time they contact you, maybe not even your family, maybe it's an in-law, a cousin, somebody who with me excluded, Mike, someone who pretends to be your friend, who
your
only
friends,
calls you when they need
so-called
you to do something.
friends. Yeah.
And the good
Lots.
news is you can talk about it. You don't have to worry about them hearing this because if they're the type of people you never hear from unless they want something, I can guarantee you they're not going to support you by listening to your podcast. So by all means, just put it on the air because they'll never hear this.
Yeah, I've actually got several people that when I see their name pop up on the contact, you know, in my phone.
Oh, what do you want?
My first thought is, what do they want this time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's been 6 months since I've heard from you, since the last time some of your shit broke that needed fixed.
See,
So-
that's the trouble with tradesmen.
Mhm.
You know, you're a tradesman. You know how to repair stuff, Morgan. Don, you know how to repair stuff, you know, to a certain extent. You got a lot of IT background too. I know how to repair stuff quite extensively as well.
But to that point, which coincides with the three of us, he who is a tradesman cohabitate with other tradesmen because you guys are in the same low tax bracket, so you hang out with each other. And not only that, you live in a world of trade. Whereas if Morgan was a lawyer and I was a doctor and Mike was like, you know, a gynecologist or something, we wouldn't have these skills. Not only that, but we wouldn't have the friends because, you know, we wouldn't hang out with those fucking people. They're poor. But they wouldn't have friends. And I was thinking about this too. Do you think our significant others appreciate the fact of our skills and or the skills of our friends that allow us to save an enormous amount of fucking money? Because what you did last night would easily cost us $600, and that's without digging up the floor, just in hourly labor alone.
More than that.
Yeah.
A lot, I promise you. A hell of a lot more than that, brother.
Bill yet.
But that goes to my point. Sometimes I feel like we're underappreciated by the people we know.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
I love it.
Sometimes I feel like we're underappreciated by the people we know for our skills that they utilize a lot.
Sometimes, I can absolutely agree with that. I will say I'm probably one of the lucky ones where my wife will actually point out to her friends and family when, you know, I'm handy with things. And she definitely, I think, appreciates it a lot more than most.
Does she do it in your presence?
Huh?
Does she do it in your presence?
No. Well, yes and no.
See,
yes and no. She's done it through text messages, and I've heard her on phone calls, obviously, too. But yeah, I mean, in my presence, and even sometimes.
See, Morgan, you can tell they're newlyweds. See, Morgan and I have been in our relationships long enough that our wives are tired of our asses, right? And you can, and the aforementioned Morgan, the brain surgeon, right? She could have a headache, and Morgan said, well, here's what you need to do. And of course, it ain't going to get alleviated perfectly. She's like, some brain surgeon you are, you can't get rid of my headache. But then when she's at work and a coworker has a headache, they say, oh, my husband's brain surgeon, and what he says to do is X, Y, Z. And boy, let me tell you, it works perfectly. So it seems like they'll give you all the props in the world as long as you aren't within hearing distance to acquire said props. At least that seems to be my experience.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah,
I want to
go ahead.
Well, go ahead, finish your thought because I want to kind of backtrack for a second.
I mean, nothing in particular. I mean, just, you know, my wife does not have very many. I don't want to say skills because she does have skills in certain fields, but I mean, like, you know, she can hang pictures and stuff like that. But when it comes to like when she walks around in the apartments and stuff like that, because she works where we live, and I get text messages from her every now and again going, what the hell is this called? So
that's called a doorstop, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, so, thanks, Tick. You know the springy doorstop that your kid plays with?
Yeah.
You know why? You know how that's actually a doorstop? I never knew this until I was fucking 46 and saw a TikTok video.
I know where you're going with it.
Okay, Morgan, do you know how that actually stops the door?
Well, yeah, I mean it's a spring.
No, you got to think about it in the other.
We all think its job is to stop the door from hitting the wall.
Yeah.
No, you actually pull the spring down, you slide the door and let it up, and it actually holds. It's a door hold. It's more of a door hold, but we never knew that. We never used it appropriately. Not the stiff ones, but the one your cat hits.
Yeah.
You pull it down, you put the door over, it pops
up. The guy
up.
made the video with hitting it sounded like every shit box car with some 15s in the trunk.
So you actually pull it down, put your door, lift it up, and it's a door stop as well. It's a door hold as well as a door stop.
Well, it's a door stop either way. It stops it from opening or stops it from closing. So.
Yeah, but back to your point.
Before we move on, so you know how people talk about, I've got a guy.
Mm-hmm.
We are the guy.
Mm-hmm. I've been that guy for 18
years. I don't have a guy because, you know, I'm the guy that people have, and it's actually tough. I remember who I had to ask for help, you know, recently. And it was the weirdest thing because I'm not the guy who needs help. I'm the guy that's there to help. And it was kind of a bizarro thing to have to ask somebody to do something because it was out of my wheelhouse.
Listen, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting really tired of being that fucking guy.
Well, what I was going to say, you know what double compounds that? You know what goes along with being that guy? Being that guy, you usually have a truck. So now you fall into two categories. You're that guy and the guy with truck problems guy. So now you got two sets of problems.
Hey, what are you doing on the weekend of the 3rd?
Not moving your shit. Maybe you should have thought about that before you bought an 87-inch fucking TV with your Miata out in the parking lot.
Fucking asshole.
You know, that is not a service Uber offers. Because when me and my dad both drove for Uber, we're like, why doesn't Uber have like an Uber guy with truck? You know, like you pay an extra $15 and we'll show up at the fucking Target to pick up your 37-inch, you know, your 56-inch TV. The only thing we can sort out is they don't want to be responsible to damage to your paint in your bed.
Well, we have a business Uber account, and that's basically what it is. It's Uber courier service.
Yeah.
And of course, in my market, it's not, you know, Uber's not as big as it is.
Sure.
You know, in say Tampa or Jacksonville or something. So, you know,
I had a guy pissed at me because I picked him and his wife up, and I'm taking them to the airport in my truck. And apparently, in his mind, I'm a fucking town car driver. I'm supposed to get out of my truck and schlep their luggage into my fucking bed of my truck. He's like, "You're not going to get my luggage? It's fucking Uber, dude. This ain't a goddamn town car."
Yeah, load your own shit.
Yeah. You're not paying fucking town car rates. You're paying taxi rates.
Yeah, no, you're fucking, you're the limo driver. Where's your suit and tie, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
And a funny little hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, as Morgan was saying, when you become that guy, you're that guy for a long time. Adam Carolla says, you know, some of the people he looks up to, he has a couple people in his lives that always, complain about their bad back. He's like, they ain't got a bad back. They just know if they complain about their bad back enough, people won't ask them to help them move or do anything. Just don't admit you know how to do anything.
I get quite a few people that are regularly asking me, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And there are people that I'm like, all right, it's not a problem. You know, there's a select few. But above and beyond that, it's like, and especially if you're an asshole.
It's like, if I haven't heard from you in fucking 4 months, no, don't even call me.
Yeah.
If we haven't gone fishing
in
a week,
or the one
call me.
There's always the one too that sends you like the random text every couple of days, or the random TikTok video or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, I thought you thought this would, you know, I thought you might think this was funny. And then you're like, yeah, something's coming. Something's a fucking brewing, and you're about to ask me to do some silly bullshit soon.
Mm-hmm. It's like Morgan says, I ain't heard from you in months, and all of a sudden you're sending me these warm-up messages.
Yeah.
Well, what's really interesting is how small your circle gets when you start getting selfish with your time and telling people no.
Yeah. Exactly.
Saddest thing, fuck it, I'll say it. I had the realization of how low on the entertainment totem pole local radio people are. We can all admit Zito and Garrett were fucking huge. Like, if you're a radio name, if you listen to radio, you know who Zito and Garrett was.
Yeah.
Fucking huge. Second only to Stan Haney, maybe third to Bubba as far as name recognition in this town, but they were fucking huge.
Mm-hmm.
When Bob Garrett died, they rented out a huge church. And I was anticipating fans, upper management from the radio station he worked at for fucking 20 years. No, it was me, Stan Haney, Gentry, fucking Zito, a few salesmen, his family, and like 5 people in this big ass church. I was like, oh, everybody wants to be your friend until you're fucking dead. And that's when I realized, and it's like, oh, and you see it too with, you know, it's kind of normal, you know, for quote unquote civilians, but you know, here's somebody who's literally been on the radio for years, and it's not, anything towards him. It's just the way fucking humans are, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, and you kind of see it with your family members too. Or when my buddy Jason died, he was my roommate. You know, we were great friends. He was my roommate. I left. I hadn't seen him in 21 years. I left in 2001. He died in like 2023. Went back to his funeral. He worked at the same ambulance plant I did for probably 15 years. His brother still worked there. Not a single motherfucker from that place showed up. Not a manager, nothing. It was just me, his family, and like 9 of our high school friends. It's like, Jesus. I would hope that if I worked at a place for 15 fucking years, one of you assholes would have the fucking nerve to show up at my job, especially, you know, we hung out the lunchroom table every day for 15 years. But no, it's crazy.
I don't expect people that I went to high school with and stuff like that. I mean, a handful.
Yeah. But
And
the people you work with
best.
every day for 15
best.
years,
Yeah.
the guy you
I
shoot
don't
darts
think-
with,
I mean, think about
You
it.
know, the thing
Those
is, though,
people. Go ahead, Morgan.
well, we're probably, you know, echoing the same point here.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those people, you form some sort of I don't know if you want to call it a friendship or whatever, but you're basically being paid to be there. So, you know, like I don't hardly hang out with the people that I work with. I couldn't tell you the last time that I did.
I would agree with you, but there was a handful of people that he hung with outside of work. I understand, you know,
Okay.
dude, when we're out of work, I don't want to fucking
Yeah.
talk to you, but, you know, we've drunk together, we've played paintball together, we've done some, no. It's like, wow, okay, interesting.
Now,
That's just
I'd say
weird.
as far as community, as far as Garrett goes, would be like, some like, close restaurant owners and stuff like that, people that they have worked with over the years, things like that.
Well,
I would
just-
expect something
You
like
would
that,
figure like the
obviously. It
fan who,
sounds
you
like
know,
that happened,
the
but-
on air, every radio show has the callers who become, the guardian for Stan and Haney and,
Yeah.
things like that. Like, I think maybe there was one that we knew of that was a fan, but no, it was just eye opening, I guess. But back to the previous topic, it's like, I don't know, it's just, fuck it, I'll say it.
Say it.
When you got a family member
Yeah.
who has put themselves in a position that now that they're in their advanced age and their 3 adult children have to pay their property taxes on their house, and then you can't even bother to pick up the phone and say, hey, thanks for that $500. It's like, motherfucker, if somebody's paying your taxes, pick up a fucking phone. Say, hey, send them a Facebook message. I'll fucking send them a gif of a flower. Say, yo, thanks for helping a motherfucker. No. Say, oh, that's right. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's the old saying, don't give anybody anything for free because they don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even if it's fucking tax money to keep the tax man out of your house. But here you are.
And that's family. Sometimes that's even worse because that cuts more.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely cuts more when it's family.
And that's the thing too. Like, if the person who doesn't call you, but until they need something, is like an extended family member,
Yeah.
or an in-law, that minimizes your ability to fucking ghost them or be a dick. It's one thing if it's your own personal brother, fuck you, dude. But like, it's the old lady's cousin or somebody. It's like, well, if I'm a dick to them, then they're going to get mad at me. And then
Yeah.
it's like, so then you got to
And I got to
respond.
hear about it.
Yeah,
But
so then
yeah,
you're
well,
like, fuck.
and that's what it turns into is like, if I was to tell my father-in-law, no, I can't help you with a plumbing issue or something like that, then I feel like I'm being an asshole, and it shifts your relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
especially if it becomes a regular thing,
Mm-hmm.
which I've helped them, a couple of times here and there, which I don't mind. Obviously, if it saves people money, that's the trade-off. honestly,
Especially if
for
they have
you.
a tradable skill that you can use in the future to call in a favor.
Exactly.
But like, if their job is like deliver newspapers, they're like, well, that ain't going to help me in the future.
right.
Well, I can tell
That's-
you, like, My mother-in-law, anything she needs, I take care of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I always have.
Well, what if it's the brother-in-law
Yeah.
or the step-brother-in-law? That's when it's like,
Well,
you know,
that's
the mom and the dad you got to, because at that point they're your mom. But it's like,
Yeah.
why should I
Yeah.
get out of my way for the stepbrother? If he was my stepbrother, I'd tell him to fuck off. I ain't heard from you in 6 months. But since it's the brother-in-law, I got to be nice to you, even though your sister hasn't heard from you in 6 fucking months. Well, you know,
Especially if it-
we're
if-
taking
if-
the high road.
Yeah, especially if your brother-in-law is like a dick or something too. I mean, if the family member's a dick, and then they start coming in with, "Hey, by the way," and you're like, "What? No, what the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And then you're the asshole because you were like,
Yeah.
"No, fuck you."
I'm gonna.
It's bullshit. It's a catch-22, but that's the trade-off when you have a trade skill of some kind.
Mhm.
You know that's what you're gonna deal with on a regular basis.
But all I asked, oh my mess, I wasn't even asking him. I just want to know who the fuck his tattoo. He has great tattoos. I just want to know who his tattoo artist was. Not like I was asking him to come give me a tattoo.
Yeah.
You took 9 days to let me know who your fucking tattoo artist was, and you only did it 10 minutes because you want me to fix your computer, which I don't know if you noticed the computer sitting in the room last night when you're over here. That ain't
I
my
did.
computer.
An all-in-one.
Yeah, even easier to fix.
Well, you know, oh, I just lost my train of thought on that. Fuck, what the fuck was I gonna say? I don't remember. Anyway,
How do you guys feel about mayonnaise-based salads?
mayonnaise based.
In what context? I
So
mean,
we're
are you
talking
talking
like
about like 4 o'clock in the afternoon after a picnic?
No,
that
I mean,
started
if
at
it's after
noon?
work and
or-
you're getting deep fried chicken dinner from Publix and you go to the cold cabinet, do you get the potato
All right.
salad? Do you get the macaroni salad? Do you get the.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm down with some potato salad. Yeah.
yes. Redskin in particular, or New York.
Oh
style.
yeah.
I can't do
Yeah.
it. I can't do
German style.
No, that bad, huh?
it. You know, and it's not even a bit. I know
Where did you eat one time where you got sick that you could never do it?
it must
again?
have been when
Yeah.
I was like 3.5 because I've
It had to
never.
be.
I've been to a lot of family picnics, and I just. But so here's the routine. Whenever we end up getting chicken or something from the hot bar, I get Carrie and the kid either New York style potato salad or I get a Southern style macaroni salad, and then I get coleslaw. Well, the last time I was there, they didn't have coleslaw, and Carrie's like, "Well, just eat potato salad." I'm like, "I don't like mayonnaise-based salad." She's like, "Coleslaw has mayonnaise in it." I said, "Yeah, but fucking that's completely different."
but it's different.
She's like, "How is it different?" I'm like, "Well, because macaroni salad, potato salad
I
tastes
like
like
it."
cold goo." and she's like, "I bet you would eat if that's the only thing we had in the refrigerator."
Well, fucking right, I would.
No,
'Cause I'm
s-
hungry.
No, I said, "Well, what kind of world would we live in where the only thing we have in the refrigerator is potato salad and macaroni salad?" And she said, "Well, what if it's the end of the world and that's the only thing we had?" I said, "If it was the end of the world, we wouldn't be able to afford a jar of fucking mayonnaise. And we live in Florida. We're not growing potatoes out in the backyard. The only thing we're going to be eating is iguana and boa constrictor." And then I had a realization. That's the answer to our invasive species problem in Florida.
Just start
the,
eating them.
the end of the world. If you guys cut off food, we'd all be heading the Everglades and killing iguana and fucking eating
Fucking
snake.
right. We don't even have to go to the Everglades. They're in our backyards.
Did I tell you it finally happened? I was I was over here in my boat ramp and I came back and I seen two dudes milling around by my truck and I was like, "What the fuck?" So I'm standing up on
Hey,
my
motherfucker.
kayak. I'm like watching them, giving them a fucking evil eye, and I'm using a paddle board, and the guy
Coming
comes in and puts a boat in, and I walk up there, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm not much, and I fucking start up my truck. I'm sitting in there, and they go talking to the guy with the boat. He pulls his trailer out, and I get on there and get my kayak. Turns out these two guys who are meandering around my truck, they didn't know not to meander around people's trucks at a boat ramp because they were tourists. They were paying this guy to take them on a fucking iguana hunt on Lake Mead back in my neighborhood. It's the first I've seen YouTube videos of people, first time ever, I've seen it in real life, guys taking people out on a fucking iguana hunt.
Yeah.
One time I was on the front side of Lake Zurich and I had BBs flying over my head. I was like, "Yo, I'm fucking down here. Don't shoot my boat."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, that shit's fucking.
No, it's not
sketchy.
an iguana. It's a kayaker.
Yeah, it's like just because you're shooting a pellet gun doesn't mean the rules of firearm safety don't apply.
Yeah,
Don't.
and I think you're only. I'm fairly certain you're only allowed to use pellet guns unless you're in like a complete and total like
Yeah, and
wasteland type
and
area.
you really need to use varmint pellets. My buddy Zach, he shoots them, and your run of the mill fucking Sears grade pellet gun does not get the job done. He had to go out and buy a competition grade fucking pellet gun
Yeah.
and get the varmint pellets with the points because other than that, the BBs would just bounce right off of them. He said those varmint pellets pass right through him, and then he just kicks them into the canal, lets the blue crabs eat them.
The old break barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those in the closet.
Either
I used to
no,
pop
I think
squirrels
it's
in North Carolina with it.
it's a I think it's a high pressured CO2. I don't even think it's
Oh,
break
is it?
barrel. Yeah, I think it's a high pressure CO2. That's a good question.
Those around here too.
We all own firearms. Granted, you two were in the military, so it may be a little different, but how many of us had an arsenal of pellet guns when we were kids?
Fuck yeah.
I probably at my prime had 7 pellet guns.
Maybe not. I didn't have quite that.
I even had the little pistol with the flip up end that you put the darts in. Looked like
Okay,
the 1911.
Nice.
I had a real sweet one got from Service Merchandise. It was a center break. It had like the sport competition type end on it. It had your standard Daisy with the pellet on. I just showed Mike 5 pellet guns I still have, but none of those are mine from a kid. I got all those in my 30s. I have an original Morgan. My third stepdad passed away. Second. And I got his original Red Ryder BB gun from the 50s.
Nice.
And then I got a original pump action shotgun, which the trigger stucks when you pump it, it just shoots. I was telling Mike after he gave me that, I was watching American Pickers and they had the exact same one, but with the box. And they I think it was worth like $900 for that one BB gun.
Oh, wow.
And then when I worked at Stan and Haney, someone gave me a 1950s era Crossman M1 carbine. It was the first M1 carbine BB gun. It's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
But all the seals it won't, like you cock it, all the O-rings are blown out in it, so it won't hold air. It needs to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. And then I got a modern day, someone gave me, they're one of my clients used to be, well, they still are, but they're not my client anymore, but they were Masons. And so for Christmas, they'd give away stuff to kids. And one year they had a whole stack of pink Daisy Red Ryder BB guns. So they gave me one to give my daughter. And then I have another BB gun. But yeah, as a kid, that's in Kentucky. That's all me and my cousin did. Just sat there out in the front yard. Just my mom would buy us like two of those milk cartons full of fucking copperheads, and it was on.
Yeah, shit. We had. I know me and my friends, collectively had, lots of BB guns. The standard pump Daisy and all that shit, plastic with metal barrel and whatnot.
I've been trying. So the house my mom lived in, the trailer that used to belong to my grandmother sold it to my cousin's neighbor when they grew up. So he still has the property. I've been meaning to reach out to him on Facebook. There's a telephone pole in the front yard right by the road because it's on 5 acres of land, and around the other side of the road was the Ohio River. Back when I talked about how I used to take a shower in the Ohio River and shit in an outhouse. But me and my cousin would just sit there, and between our soda cans and my mom's alcoholic boyfriends, we always had plenty of targets. And so we would hang these beer cans on this telephone pole. The whole front of that telephone pole is chipped away from 15 years of just BBs all summer long. And I want to ask him, hey, go take a close-up picture of the whittled away front of that telephone pole for me and my cousin just putting thousands upon thousands of copperheads into that thing over the years.
Yeah, I had the standard pump Daisy. I still have my break barrel pellet gun, which takes those pointed head
Pellets.
or the Crossmen pellets or whatever they are.
The varmint pellets.
And then I have that same style break barrel in a pistol version, which I think it's like a 7mm pellet or something like that. Or it's probably like 7mm or something like that. Anyway. Or 3.5mm or something like that. But I've got 2 of those. My dad just gave me his varmint pistol, which is a copperhead BB pistol that has CO2 cartridges in it too. And I think it's a 10 shot.
Oh, remind me.
It's a semi-auto.
Remind me. I got like probably 25 CO2 cartridges in my garage from when I did that. I did that BB gun review video on YouTube of the modern day Springfield Armory M1 carbine BB gun. When I was telling you I wish they'd let me keep.
Yeah.
I got a whole thing of CO2 cartridges out there. I don't have no use for because none of my pellet guns are CO2.
Nice.
But yeah.
Let me see if I can grab it. It's actually in my closet. Hang on.
So you guys are fans of the mayonnaise-based salads, though. I just can't do it. It's just gross to me. I don't know. And Carrie said, Carrie's like, you eat raw potatoes. How come you can't eat potato salad? I'm like, because raw potatoes aren't cold and don't taste like I'm eating fucking Jell-O. A raw potato is hard. It's like eating a fucking wet cookie, not eating slime. I don't know. I just can't do it.
I don't know. I prefer potato salad over macaroni salad. I can see what you're saying about the slime feeling of it.
I'm just weird though. There's certain foods like I don't like cold coffee. Like even like people love this iced coffee trend. If I make coffee and I have a sip left in the bottom and it's ice cold, I don't like cold coffee. I don't like hot foods that are cold. The most overrated thing. Okay, we'll talk about his BB gun. You know what that looks like? Looks like a fucking High Point.
Well, the sad thing is that's probably more expensive than a High Point.
High Point, the piece of shit gun out of fucking Ohio. That's actually out of the town where I went snowboarding as a kid.
I actually, someone gave me a High Point.
My mom tried to give me hers. I told her I didn't want it. I said no. Keep it.
The frame's cracked, and they said, they have a killer warranty. They were like, hey, yeah, if you ship it back to us, we'll either fix it or replace the frame and send it back to you.
Mansfield, Ohio.
Like, okay. And then I got, I tried figuring out how to ship the thing because it's not like you can just put a stamp on it and mail it to them. It would cost me twice as much to ship it as it would be to go buy another one.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't do anyway because you can buy a Taurus for, another $50.
Taurus was cheap too. I think what the Taurus Judge is kind of what gave them the a little better foothold in the market. But like, I remember when I was looking at my first firearm, right? And I went down to Bayshore Guns and Gold. That's a pretty nice pellet gun.
That is nice.
There's no rear sight on that bad boy. So I went down to Bayshore Guns and Gold and I was looking at used firearms and I was like, "What? How about this Taurus?" And the guy's like, "Well, if you want a gun that you're going to use at the gun range, you don't want to buy a Taurus." I ended up buying my XD, my Springfield 9mm XD. I think it was essentially brand new. Basically, somebody bought it and either a wife made them get rid of it or fucking they needed the money. But I bought my Springfield. But I was looking at a Taurus and guys like, "You don't want a Taurus."
I've carried a Taurus for 5 years.
Yep.
And it's been flawless at the range. I mean, I've, never had to use it, of course, other than range time. But, I mean, for as poorly as I treat it, the conditions it goes through, it's been flawless. I don't clean it till after I'm done at the range. So, it could be 6 months or a year sometimes before I get to get to put some rounds through it. Hasn't ever given me any sort of problems.
Yeah, that's a testament to a High Point that I didn't even want to take one. I will say the High Point 9mm carbines are kind of cool. Buddy of mine, they're clunky, they're uglier than shit, but like if you want to shoot a rifle all day and you're wanting to save some money, even though 9mm is expensive, it's definitely cheaper than buying 223s. And so like a High Point carbine's fun, like especially if you have kids, you want to teach them how to shoot a rifle, but so they're kind of cool, but they're still uglier than shit.
I just bought.
I actually bought a 22 conversion for my AR, and it's great. 30 round magazine, and 22 LR is a lot cheaper than 223.
A lot of the SWAT teams in poor cities do that, so they still get the feel of the nomenclature and the feel of the rifle, but save the taxpayer some money on 223 rounds.
Yeah, I actually just bought a another Kel-Tec 22 semi-auto pistol that it's a 10 round mag My dad wanted it because he needs a kitty killer because there are too many fucking cats around.
What's wrong with a have a heart trap?
Huh?
What's wrong with a have a heart trap?
Yeah. Well, number one,
He ain't have a heart.
having 6 to 10 of those out for all the fucking cats that are roaming around his property is a lot more expensive than what I paid for the Keltec 22. So
Let me ask you this: what would you guys recommend a family member who's getting up there in age and can't rack a slide? Because the problem is, if you can't rack a slide, you probably can't handle the 4-pound trigger pull in a fucking revolver either. Because I don't like revolvers because of the trigger pull. It's too hard to stay on target, especially if you don't think about pulling the hammer back. Like my brother and I, this is 3 or 4 years ago, we took my dad to the range because he'd been wanting to get a firearm, and he couldn't slide the slide back on my Glock or my brother's Springfield.
I mean, does it matter the round size?
No,
That Keltec 22 that I just bought,
that
the
slide rack
on
back
it is
pretty
like-
easily.
It's like fucking butter. It's
Yeah,
like nothing.
I thought maybe a small 38 might be good too, but I don't know.
But possibly, yeah. Or
What about a 22
or a little
revolver?
or a little one shotter. You know, a single shot fucking.
The Derringer.
I mean, pop it up.
He
put,
had.
put the round in and be done.
I need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But he had his 22-inch rifle that he had since he was in high school
Yeah.
in his trailer that flooded, and it's in my closet. But there's a fucking round in the chamber, but the fucking thing's seized shut from being in fucking salt water for a week. And so, like, I need to take it to a gunsmith and have them. You know, it's not going to be repairable. It's not worth repairing, but technically, it has a live round fucking rusted in the chamber.
What is it?
It's just an old
22?
22 fucking holds 8 rounds down the barrel, kind of like a pellet gun. This thing's from like the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah,
He
the
had-
old. It's got the old underbarrel.
Yeah, the spraying
underbarrel tube.
chamber.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but it
my
was
dad's got one
underwater
like
on
that, too.
Iona Road during Hurricane Ian for like a week, and so it's just completely rusted shut. But there's
So
there's
so
a
what you
round in it.
do is you get a plastic bin that it'll fit in, and put vinegar and hot water in it,
Okay.
and just let it. I mean, just let it soak. Or, if you're a rich guy, which I know I'm not, you can buy a Vaporust,
Yeah.
and that'll just eat all the rust off of it, and you'll probably be able to get it open and at least eject the round.
Yeah.
So,
Because I don't want to
'Cause
bang
it
it
doesn't
around
sound
too
like
much
something you
because
wanna get
that
rid
firing
of.
pin may not be as strong as it once was.
yeah, true. Who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe it
but-
rusted away to nothing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true too.
But I mean, replacing a firing pin really. Is
No, what I meant by that is I don't want to bang it around trying to get the chamber open. If the
No.
fucking pin rusted, it slides forward. I'm not
Yeah,
exactly at a
that-
gun range or on
just-
a farm.
that would be something you probably do what Morgan was saying
Yeah.
as far as vinegar and hot water and something like that to get it to rust to eat away, and then take it to the fucking range
Yeah.
and set it up on a jig, and fiddle fuck with it so it's pointed down range.
Now that's take it to Mike's dad's house where no one's around and fucking
There you
fiddle
go.
fuck with it with a string and a fucking vise so the thing
Exactly.
doesn't blow up in your hands.
Yep, we'll take
Even
it up there.
even if it is a 22, that's if it's rusted apart and your fucking barrel's gotten weak or your head spacing's fucked up, that could still
Yeah.
poke an eye out. So, as somebody who's been carrying a firearm for over 13 years daily, one of the biggest inconveniences is when you come home, you need to take your firearm off of yourself and put it somewhere safe, somewhere secure, especially if you have kids. Now, I know most of us are responsible. We have a gun safe somewhere, but let's be honest, usually these gun safes are big, they're bulky, they're kind of out of the way because they're a bit of an eyesore. Your wife doesn't want them where everybody can see them, so sometimes they're in your closet behind some clothes, sometimes they're in the garage, sometimes they're in the mudroom. And let's be honest, taking your firearm out and walking to those locations to secure it is a pain in the butt. But you have to be a responsible firearm owner, especially if you have kids in the house. That's why you need to get yourself a Stopbox Pro portable gun safe. You can make it non-portable. You can drill some holes in it, mount it to a place of convenience in your house, but it requires no batteries and no electricity. You simply come in your house, walk up to your safe, choose your finger button combinations, open a safe, remove your firearm from your person, put it in the safe. If you close your safe, Just that easy. It's secure. So do yourself a favor, head over to stopboxusa.com/D410 and get all the information today on your Stopbox Pro. When seconds count, trust the only non-fail firearm storage box, Stopbox Pro, at stopboxusa.com/D410. So Morgan, you had an idea. You wanted to briefly discuss some songs from back in the day or even modern day where people misunderstand the lyrics. Do you have one off the top of your head? And see, this is getting kind of tricky to do now because I'm starting to get copyright warnings from Spotify. So the good news is people are listening to our podcast on Spotify. The bad news is now Spotify's algorithm's hitting us with, hey, What's in Your Head episode 783 has a clip from this. If you don't take it down, we're just going to delete your show off of our platform. So now it's getting harder to even play songs, even if we're doing it for just one episode. So we can talk about the songs.
So we don't have to
play
them, but we'll just talk about them.
Okay.
So I was thinking about this. We all have similar interests. So you've probably seen hundreds of A10 videos, where they come in
Warthogs?
You hear the and but now it's like there's a zillion of them, and then plus every Vietnam movie you ever saw, you hear Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of been co-opted into this pro-military, whatever. And it's like the most
you see it on all the TikTok videos when someone breaks into my house. Alexa, go into lockdown mode, and the lights turn red, and that Creedence Clearwater song's come on.
But it's it's kind of interesting to me because that is like the most anti-war song.
Well, just because we can't play the song doesn't mean we can't read the lyrics. So when you're ready, I have them up in front of me.
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
And see, and this is kind of the problem we face as human beings is we cherry pick words from lyrics. So, well, the very first verse sounds like you're pro-American because it makes reference to the red, white, and blue. Some folks are born made to wave a flag. The red, white, and blue. And then the band plays "Hail to the Chief." Oh, the points are cannons at you, Lord. It ain't me. I ain't no senator's son. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one. What they're saying is, hey, I'm a poor motherfucker, and when we go to war, they send the poor motherfuckers, and so I'm that guy. Yeah. I'm going to be the one running through the jungle getting shot at when Senator Kennedy's son. Well, Kennedys aren't fair to point out because prior to the Vietnam, they were all fucking World War II. John F. Kennedy was a goddamn pimp.
Oh, yeah, he was a PT boat captain.
Not only was he a PT boat, his PT boat got sank. They landed on an island. I read
one of his books. Yeah.
They weren't getting help on that island. He fucking wrapped a life jacket around one of his fucked up comrades, pulled a rope in his teeth, and swam 3 miles to the next island.
With burns, apparently, all over.
No one was there. So then he swam by himself to another island where some of the natives found him. And at that point, the natives were tired of the Japanese, and so they were working with the Marines, like poor Sergeant Zuza, who got his throat cut by the Japanese, but still got away. Long story short, he carved a message into a goddamn coconut straight out of fucking Gilligan's Island, and the natives delivered that to the Marine Corps, and they got it back to the Navy. That's how they were rescued. The guy swam like to 6 different fucking islands.
Yeah.
He was,
and I guess I had heard that, or what I remember reading in that book was his hands were like fucking burnt to a crisp or something like that. He had blisters and boils all over his hands, and he was still yoking his fucking dude, trying to get back home.
George Bush Sr. was shot down. He was a fighter pilot. He was shot down in the Pacific by a Japanese island, where later turned out that the Japanese had started delicatizing some of the organs of some of their American prisoners.
Yeah.
They resorted to cannibalism, and luckily he didn't land on that island. But yeah, so those politicians don't count. But yeah, to Morgan's point though, this was an anti-Vietnam War song. Yeah. And what happened was Oliver Stone, who was a Vietnam War vet, played it in Platoon, and then it just kind of, or maybe it showed up in Hamburger Hill, but it showed up in one of those 1980s era Vietnam movies. and then it just kind of got associated with Vietnam. Yeah,
Well,
some folks
yeah,
inherit
and-
Star
and-
Spangled
Forrest
Eyes.
Gump,
Ooh,
too.
they send you down to Warlord, and when they ask how much should we give, ooh, the only answer is more, 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 more. Man, hey, just keep sending the kids down there to fight the war.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
So
definitely a misunderstood song.
we'll stay in the same kind of theme.
Real quick
for
to
this
that
one,
point,
too.
you will never hear me say America, fuck yeah. People forget the fucking, and we've brought it up on the show before. People forgot where that came from. You hear all these, MAGA people, pro-Trump, Republicans saying, "Yeah, America." Dude, you're fucking stupid. You guys remember where that came from?
Yeah, Team America, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're probably too young to realize
Oh,
this.
fuck
Fuck
yeah.
You're probably too young to realize this, Mike. No, you're old enough.
So lick my
That
dick,
movie was
suck
made
on
by
my
the guys
balls.
from South Park because at the time it was in vogue to hate George Bush II.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
basically a movie talking about how America wants to be the world's police and think they're worthy and they have the right to tell everybody what to do. And so when you say America, fuck yeah, you're not being patriotic. You're essentially making fun of your patriotic brethren, because that's what the movie was doing. That wasn't a pro-American movie. That was an anti-George Bush, anti-war, more of a American, why don't you mind your own P's and Q's movie. But somehow people forgot that's where that came from. They're trying to co-opt it into something. It's like, no, dude, you're making fun of yourself.
So another perfect example, in tying all of this together. What song do you hear in every fireworks show on the 4th of July?
Proud to be an American.
Well, that one, we can talk about that one another time. I got probably the coolest story
Which, for you
ever
young
about
kids,
that song.
I just want to say, proud to be American is not the national anthem. I'm tired of going to sports events and they're playing proud to be an American. People putting their hands over their hearts because they're afraid to play. It's not the fucking national anthem. Good song,
But here's
not the
here's
national
the
anthem.
problem. They don't teach that shit in school really anymore.
No, it's our job.
That's
It's
the
the
sad
old,
part.
it's the old fox.
Right.
So when you see him, put your hands,
So,
say, stop it. It's not the national anthem.
Yeah.
But so think about it though. Every 4th of July fireworks, you're going to hear.
Bum, 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 bum.
Well, that's cool too. The William Tell 1812 Overture.
The-
But
the
you're
thing
gonna
that
hear-
sticks in
you're
my
gonna
mind is
hear,
always Star Spangled Banner, but
So you're going to hear "Born in the USA."
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
okay.
Every fireworks display. I think it was Ronald Reagan that used it in his one of his campaigns,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't understand that is not a pro-American song either.
Born
That's a
down in a
song
dead
all
man's
about
town.
The shitty treatment that Vietnam veterans got when they came home.
Yeah.
Born down in a dead man's
That's what-
town. The first kick I took was when I hit the ground. You end up like a dog that's been beat too much till you spend half your life just covering it up. Born in the USA. I was born in the USA. Got in a little hometown jam, so they put a rifle in my hand, sent me to a foreign land to go kill the yellow man. Yeah, born in the USA, born in the USA. Come back home to the refinery. Hiring man says, son, if it was up to me, went down to see my VA man. He said, son, don't you understand? I had a brother at the Shan fighting off the Viet Cong. I'm sorry, I had a brother down at the Sha fighting the Viet Cong. They're still here. They're all gone. He had a woman he loved in Saigon. I got a picture of him in her arms down in the shadow of the penitentiary out by the gas fires of the refinery. I'm 10 years burning down the road, nowhere to run. I ain't got nowhere to go. Born in the USA. Yeah, I was born in the USA.
So I guess it's about poor treatment of Vietnam veterans and the horrors of living in New Jersey.
Do you think that got associated as a patriotic song because that was the title of the Tom Cruise movie? No, that was Born on the 4th of July. Never mind.
Yeah, well, people, like, to your point earlier, people will grasp on to, a lyric or a word or whatever, which kind of leads into the third one that always pops into my head. Yeah, if you're looking at a Halloween playlist, one that caught, you got Thriller by Michael Jackson, you got the Monster Mash, And in the past few years, every one that I've pulled up, Zombie by the Cranberries is on it.
Nothing says
And
Halloween like the fucking song about the IRA and the Civil War.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's pretty gruesome. It is kind of Halloweeny, you know, because they're blowing up little kids, you know, because the whole the whole impetus of that song was an IRA bombing where they blew up a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old kid. And you know, it's
Well, it's somebody
you know,
redid that song like, oh no, 8 years ago.
Bad Wolves.
And they changed it. It's the same old thing in 2018. I'm like, what the fuck is even remotely going on in 2018 that's comparable to the fucking IRA bombing people in the fucking 70s and
Yeah.
80s? Nothing, fella. You can't just change the date in
Well,
your cover
and-
song and say, boy, things sucked so much in 2018 that it's just the same old thing. No, it's not. Don't change the date just because that's when you release the song.
yeah, so I don't know. It's just I find that kind of stuff interesting, you know, how you know people will co-opt something. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is First Blood.
I didn't start this. They
And,
started this. They
you know, if you watch First Blood, it's not really an action movie.
Mm-mm.
There's a lot of action in it, but it's basically like an editorial again on the poor treatment of Vietnam vets when they came home. So, you know, it just so happens that, you know, they kind of wrapped it in an action-packed format, so it was interesting to a lot of people, but that kind of gets lost. And then you go into, you know, the second and third Rambo movies, and it's like, okay, you know, it just kind of took a really great message and completely bastardized it and turned it into, you know, into something that I don't think it was ever intended to be.
Well, funny thing is, it came out a few years ago, but Stallone said that the original cut of First Blood was like 3 hours long, and it was so bad he tried to buy the movie back and destroy it because the dialogue was horrible, and they had him just saying
It
that
was still pretty bad after they fixed it.
they cut out a lot of the dialogue, which is why he did. But yeah, I heard someone saying like one of the dialogues, like, I don't know, it's just like calling somebody like a kitty killer, just some of the dumbest shit. But yeah, the original Rambo was so bad. Let's see, here we go. Cut out all my dialogue, Sylvester Stallone said. He was so pissed at how bad Rambo the First Blood was that he demanded a major change that ended up making the studio $11 million. Yeah, I guess a lot of the dialogue was just fucking dumb, just horrible, which is why he doesn't say a lot there.
You know, like the basically the monologue towards the end where, you know, he's talking about how in Vietnam he was responsible for millions of dollars of equipment, and you know, when he got back he couldn't even get a job parking cars.
Yeah.
And just on and on. And then, you know, this great, and then, you know, they end up, you know, minimizing the whole thing by, we just love our country and we want people to love us as much as we love it. And it's like, dude, you were on a great roll, and then, you know, you fucked it up with that. You know,
Mike, do you have a song that people misunderstand the context for? And to be fair, you have to do top songs. We can't go pulling out fucking, yeah, on Twisted's first album, Most Tasteless.
I actually was not prepared for that one, so
I
do
got
not
one.
have a song, unfortunately.
Foster the People in 2011. They put out a song, all the other kids with the pumped up kicks. Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. You have any idea what that song's about?
School shootings?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, because I tend to
Pumped up-
pay a little bit more attention to lyrics than most people do, I think, so.
Robert's got a quick hand. He'll look around the room. He won't tell you his plan. He's got a rolled cigarette hanging from his mouth. He's a cowboy kid, yeah. He found a 6-shooter gun in his dad's closet with a box of fun things he don't even know what. But he's coming for you, yeah, he's coming for you. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks. I guess it's making references, the Reebok pumps. You better run, you better outrun my gun. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, you better You better run faster than my bullets. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run. Yeah, you better outrun my gun. Same thing. His daddy works all day long. He'd be coming home late. Yeah, he's coming home late. He's going to bring me a surprise because dinner's in the kitchen and it's packed in ice. I waited for a long time. Yeah, a sleight of hand is now quicker. I'm sorry. Yeah, the sleight of hand is now a quick trigger pull. I reason with my cigarette. I say your hair's on fire. You must have lost your wits. Yeah. So yeah, that whole song's about fucking school shootings.
So that's kind of like an up tempo, upbeat kind of song, isn't it? Like
Yeah, all the
musically.
other kids with the pumped up kicks.
So that kind of reminds me of
It was
another
like
one.
it was like a club hit. People were dancing to the clubs on it, fucking dropping E.
Yeah, gosh. So, Semi-Charmed Kind of Life, or whatever it's called, by Third Eye Blind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, everybody loved it. Do, 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 do. And you know that's like about using heroin or something. I mean, it's
Remember the
Oh, you
song
know-
by Boomtown Rats? I don't like Mondays. Tell me why, 'cause I don't like Mondays. Tell me why.
yeah.
You know what that song's about?
What?
1973, California. 14-year-old girl goes into school, shoots the principal, the janitor, 8 students, and when asked why, her reply was, because I don't like Mondays. So
I actually saw something about that in a documentary that they showed the
Yeah,
cops walking her out of the school. And I was like, man, that's really messed up.
Yeah.
here's the lyrics. The silicone chip inside her head gets switched to overload, and nobody's going to go to school today. She's going to make them stay at home. And Daddy doesn't understand it. He always said she was good as gold, and he can see no reason because there are no reasons. What reasons do you need to be shown? Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I want to shoot the whole day down. The telex machine is kept so clean, and it types to a waiting world. Her mother feels so shocked. Father's world is rocked, and their thoughts turn to their own little girl. Sweet 16 ain't that peachy keen. Now it ain't so neat to admit defeat. They can see no reason because there was no reasons. What was the reason do you need? Oh, I don't like Mondays. Tell me why. Yeah, so it's about her going to fucking school because it's Monday, and she wasn't a fan. But that goes to show you, school shootings go back to like 1977, so that shit ain't new either. As sad as that is.
I do have one that it's similar to that too. Just because I was trying to think of something, but Jeremy by Pearl Jam
Mm-hmm.
is another one that's.
But
very
I think we
similar
all
to
understood that.
type
I don't
of-
think that was a misunderstood song. I think we all realized.
Yeah,
that
but it
about
was a
school
very
shooting.
popular song
Yeah.
that people just Jeremy.
But you can't understand any of it.
I mean,
Clearly,
that,
I
that,
remember
you know,
picking on the boy. Seemed harmless, little fuck. Oh, but we unleashed the lions.
yeah, there was another one that was I think by the Black Crows or something like that, or maybe it was no.
On the topic of Pearl Jam,
Yeah.
were they way ahead of their time with the song "Daughter"? Is that a tranny song? Don't call me daughter, not fit to be. The pictures left will remind me. Maybe it's the Thunder.
Ooh, Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. That's the song I was thinking of.
The thing about Possum Kingdom that surprised everybody is that the lead singer's dad was a preacher, which
Really?
makes sense if you listen to the entire album because they have the song Backslider, and Backslider is reference to somebody who used to be in the church or on the wagon. So yeah, that album actually rocked. I think I still have that out in the garage.
But see, it's songs like that they were hits, and they were on top 40 radio, back when they came out.
But that one,
You listen to
the
them and-
chorus at the end is "Do you want to die? Do
Yeah.
you want to die?" So I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of right there.
Yeah, but I mean, think about the average music listener
Yeah.
turning on their radio back then and going, "Do you want to?" Just
And that's a
teen
good
angst
point,
and all kinds
too.
of shit like that when they were coming out.
It's amazing how many people don't process lyrics.
Exactly.
They like
That's what I'm
music for
talking
the
Oh, yeah.
beat and the rhythm,
hmm
and they don't.
That's how my wife is. She'll she'll listen to a song a million times, and I'm like, I'll listen to it once or twice, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of dark. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's this, and this. And she's like, really? And she's like, how did you figure that out? Just listening. I'm like, I listened to the words,
Yeah.
you know? But I don't know. I love music, and I also understand the importance of words.
My favorite was
So
my brother was a huge Red Hot Chili Pepper fan long before Under the Bridge came out. He was on it early. And I think either on Uplift Mojo Party Plan or Mother's Milk they have the song Me and My Friends. Me and my friends. My brother thought he would. Well, it makes sense for the band who would dance around naked with nothing but socks on their cocks. He would sing pee on my pee on my pee on my pee on my friends. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's me and my friends, not pee
gotta
on
be
my
a really
friends.
good friend for that. Special friends.
There was another song he didn't understand. He didn't realize the lyrics, and he sang all the time. He and I are both big Rehab fans. We were supposed to have Danny Boone on back in the day, but that fell through. Before Brooks Buford left, they had a song called Just Another Lawn Chair High. It's a song about sitting in your carport drinking beer and just watching the neighbors go by. But in the song, he says, lightning bugs have neon balls, motherfucker better recognize. He never realized what they're saying about the lightning bugs. Lightning bugs got neon balls, motherfucker better recognize. He never realized it was neon balls. I don't know what the hell he's saying, but yeah, no, it's neon balls. Pee on my pee on my pee on my.
there's this band out right now called they've been out for almost 10 years now, but they've gained extreme popularity in the last couple of years. It's a band called Sleep Token. And they do this, mysterious, like, they were trying to stay out of the limelight type thing and not, they didn't want themselves to be known. That's the whole thing about it. But they have a song
Wear
that they
face
just
paint.
put out. Huh?
Something wear face paint like ICP,
Yeah.
Kiss, and fucking King Diamond. There's a
But
band.
there's
There's a
a
name you haven't
song-
heard in 20 years, Morgan.
King Diamond?
You know a good King Diamond fan? That's a special kind of fella to be a King Diamond fan.
There's a song that they just came out with that I've been listening to lately that it's one of those songs where you really have to think about what he's saying in the lyrics to understand what he's trying to get across to a certain extent. And it's basically about touring life and, being in a band that's really popular now and trying to deal with that kind of, those kinds of issues. And, some of the chorus is just, when the river runs dry and the curtain's called, how will I know if I can't see the bottom? Come up for air and choke on it all. No one else knows that I've got a problem. What if I can't get up and stand tall? What if the diamond days are all gone? And who will I be when the empire falls? Wake up alone and I'll be forgotten. And then there's another part of it that says, where is it? And nobody told me I'd be begging for relief when what is silent to you feels like it's screaming to me. Well, nobody told me I'd get tired of myself when it all looks like heaven, but it feels like hell.
That's
And,
basically what's going through 40% of the fucking middle-aged dudes
Yeah.
driving home from work every day.
Yeah.
That's why you don't want to fucking
Yeah.
flick them off, because they're all fucking going through it on the way home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
Gonna
yeah,
have a
it's just
falling
listen to the
down
details
moment.
and listen to the lyrics. It's,
Mm-hmm. I was looking for a race to run because I got sick through my ultramarathon, which it really sucks because it's that time of year now that the long distance running is going to dry up until winter time because it's too fucking hot. But I was like, well, is there a half marathon? And I was looking for races, and there's a 5K going on at Raymond James Stadium.
oh boy.
Interesting. I didn't know they were doing this again. I thought it was an old report. I looked at it. It's Bert Kreischer, Jelly Roll, and Tom Segura.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And it's being
Two-
organized by the guys who does Spartan Race.
Yeah, it's two bears 5K or something like that.
Three Bears 5K because they scratched up because
three,
of Jelly
three
Roll.
bears 5K. Yeah, that's right.
Look, I get it. It's at Raymond James Stadium. You're going to pay $30 for parking.
Sure.
I'm not paying fucking marathon prices to run a 5K. They want $89 to run the 5K
Oh,
or
wow.
55 just to fucking hang out. If you want to go hang out in the fucking Raymond James Stadium and see Jelly Roll's fat ass build up a sweat running 3.2 miles, they want to charge you $56. That's not even counting what you're going to pay in fucking parking. I'm sorry. I mean, I get it, but not for a 5K. I mean,
Yeah.
$80 to $130, that's a marathon price. Those are marathon prices. Not,
But yeah,
But
then you got to
you're
run
getting-
a marathon.
You're getting what you're paying for, though. You've got three, two big names in comedy and one, major name in country right now. And I mean,
yeah, but Jelly
in
Roll
all
runs
honesty,
a,
to
Jelly
go
Roll runs a
run the
14-minute
race-
mile, so you're not going to be anywhere near him. You're going to be up the
Yeah.
front of the pack.
But in all honesty, $90 to go have the possibility to hang out with them if you're interested in hanging out with them or running with them or whatever. I mean, I
You
wouldn't
know
say
how
that
many
that's bad,
motherfuckers are-
considering tickets.
Dude, on a
Considering tickets.
normal Fort Myers fucking run club 5K on Cape Coral Parkway, there's 200 fucking people. You think you're going to get anywhere close to Jelly Roll and Tom Segura? You might be able to smell them as you're fucking running behind them, but you're not going to get
Little
not
ball
anywhere
sweat
close.
stink coming by you.
Like, you're just paying $89 to say you ran in the same race, and I'm good.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's bad. I just understand why they're doing it.
I would be now the question is it that much because it's at Raymond James Stadium? I guess the answer would be, well, okay, well, next year have it on
could be
fucking
too.
St. Pete Beach and let's see how much it costs. If you're still charging $89 run on St. Pete Beach, then you guys you're doing it because you let's be honest,
I
those
don't
three
know.
don't need a
though.
check.
Raymond James Stadium, they probably, need all those $90 to hire the extra cops to, make sure that you don't get kidnapped or stabbed or something running around that neighborhood.
Remember when WWF was super patriotic? Sergeant Slaughter, Hulkamaniac.
Sure.
3
Back
years-
in my day, brother.
3 or 4 years ago, my old roommate called me. Said, "Hey, we're in Tampa. We got tickets to WrestleMania, whatever. It was a 2-day event, Raymond James Stadium. You want to go? Sure." I'm sure it had to do something with the NFL, but let's be honest. WWE's renting this fucking place out for the weekend. There wasn't a single American flag on that fucking property. When they played not the national anthem, heaven forbid, when they played fucking America the Beautiful, they had a digital American flag on the fucking screen just for 2 seconds. It's like, not even the fucking flagpoles are completely empty out front. It's like not one goddamn American flag for a WWE event. It was insane to me.
Yeah, it's
It was at the height of the.
unfortunately, America is not beloved and popular in America anymore.
Yeah.
and neither is Old Glory. Unfortunately, nobody gives
Well,
a fuck anymore like they used to.
See, I disagree with that.
I don't.
And well, but my point is that what you see in the media is not an accurate representation.
I'm not. I walk out my front
True.
door. Mike was here 2 days ago. How many American flags did you see in my neighborhood? Mine and the fucking sheriff's. That's it. There's only 2 flags flying in my entire fucking neighborhood. When I did computer repair, the only places in all of Southwest Florida you'd see flags were in the high-end gated communities on the golf courses. Those are the only houses that flew flags. You go anywhere else, not a single fucking flag. It's insane to me.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess I can concede that, but
Well,
I think that, if you watch the news, and I don't care what outlet you choose to watch, that represents the West Coast and the East Coast.
Mhm.
absolutely.
And flyover country. I bet you if you go to Iowa, there's a ton of flags. I bet you if you go to Nebraska or, even go as far west as Eastern Washington or, Idaho or whatever, I bet it's a lot different than it is, because basically, if you think about it, Fort Myers is Boston South. So, it's that whole East Coast thing.
Where do you think North Carolina falls in that? You know where I'm going with this, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know.
We would think
What's,
North Carolina and South Carolina, especially with NASCAR and all the hillbillies, it'd be down for the cause. Camping World CEO Marcus Lemones has said he's been forced to shutter one of his stores in North Carolina amid heated legal battles about his massive American flag flying over his store. Lemons told WITN this week that he has closed the smaller of the two RV dealerships in Greenville on April 18th, accusing council members of actively trying to disparage his business for refusing to take down his giant American flag. City leaders in Greenville, North Carolina voted to take legal action against the flag in March since they violated the city's ordinances, and Lemoyne has been hit with a $15,000 worth of fines. The flags are almost the size of a basketball court spanning 3,200 square feet, while the pole that it flies from is around 130 feet tall. Yeah, it's a little out of proportion, but hey, I'm down for it.
It's no different than the one that we have here. That's probably about the same fucking size.
Almost
He
double the
probably
current.
has the same size pole everywhere.
We think the ordinance is wrong. You know what's funny? Down here by my house, you had a Jeep dealership open and the Nissan opened across the street.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Dodge and Jeep are no longer an American company either, but they still try to hold on to the American theme when they're trying to push their fucking Jeeps and their connection to World War II. Yeah. But I wanted to get a picture driving up Pine Island. It was so funny. You had the Jeep dealership with their American flag, and Nissan's like, hold my sake. Their American flag was like 8 times bigger than the Jeep dealerships right across the street. And it was fucking funny. It's like
those two dealerships play who's got the bigger dick all the fucking time. I bought my truck from there. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
The funny thing is Nissan makes more of their vehicles in America than Stellantis does.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to change because Stellantis fucking fired their CEO. Their company just about went over. Then they were talking about combining with was it Toyota or who? But it fell through, or Honda. They're trying to sell to somebody, but that fell through.
Nissan and Honda
did that
were,
because they came out with an insider report saying that, hey, we've got like 6 to 9 months worth of finances left. Otherwise, we're going belly up. So we need someone to help us and bail us out.
Well, here's the thought:
Honda stepped up and they made the deal.
Stop selling Jeeps for fucking $90,000, you prick you. Yeah. I mean, what's the base model? Basic Billy bitch fucking Jeep, like not even with mud tires, is like $40,000. And that's that's basic model.
So Stellantis is actually, after their debacle of making the Charger an electric vehicle, they're actually bringing back the Hemi, and they're gonna start building muscle cars again.
Well, they don't have a choice.
Didn't they bring back like an old CEO or somebody who used to work when it was still Dodge? Somebody came back and said, "Okay, stop fucking."
Yeah,
because the CEO was like super. The CEO that they had in charge was like super woke, super environmentalist, and he was not a big fan of internal combustion engines.
Guy, and they basically ran him out on a rail because he was, he was just tanking the whole company.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I mean, when
they don't have
Chrysler,
a choice because.
Good.
Well, I was just going to kind of piggyback off of your point that, the only thing that sold in Chrysler's lineup was the Challenger and the Charger. I mean, what other Chrysler product can you name that people got excited about?
Stan had a Charger. He got rid of it. He hated that fucking car. He got a Charger, got rid of it, got his Corvette, couldn't stand that fucking thing. Then he finally
he hated that Corvette too.
Well, it was done. He had a Volvo before then, so he went from a Volvo to a Corvette. Yeah. And Haney and I were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Didn't he? But wasn't it like a early 2000s or something like that? Didn't he mention it was like an early 2000s? Yeah, maybe like a mid 2000s, like 2008 or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
And it was a fucking turd. It was like a wiring nightmare or some shit.
Are you guys familiar with the Enos Grenadier?
Enos?
Enos.
I think I've heard of
INEOS. So when you're a British billionaire and you have a hard-on for the Land Rover,
I know what you're talking about.
Is it the Commander? No,
the Defender.
Yeah, he was a die-hard Defender guy.
Yeah.
and Land Rover discontinued the Defender. So he's like, well, I'm a billionaire. He bought an old manufacturing plant, and he came up with the Enos Grenadier. And if you look, they are a spitting image of the fucking Defender to the
Yeah.
point where Land Rover sued him, but he has enough money that he paid the lawsuit. These things are, I'm looking at one right now on Carvana. 2024 Enos Grenadier. They call it a station wagon. It's not. $75,790, which probably isn't that far off of what a fucking Range Rover costs, but they're
Oh yeah, that's a fucking that's a Land Rover all day.
yeah, it's a nice
Range
truck.
Rover,
I watched this
whatever.
girl on YouTube who actually has a 1991 Defender that was imported. It used to be part of the SAS. It has their division logo on the side, which was a crow, so she calls it Poe. Well, she came down to Florida, and since it's a 91 Defender, it has no AC, so she traded it in for a Grenadier Enos for a few days, and she took it down to the Everglades and stuff. It's pretty fucking sweet. Yeah, when you have it parked next to a original
yeah.
one, they're a spitting image of them. They're nice, but I don't know if they're 80 grand nice.
Holy shit.
Oh, here's one for 88.
Jesus
The
Christ.
75 is the base model.
No, 78.9 is the fucking base model, my guy.
No, I'm looking at one for 75,
Holy
590.
shit.
Oh, it has 2,000 miles on it.
This is brand new.
Yeah.
78.9 for the station wagon. The Quartermaster, which is like
Ooh, what's blue?
the
one's not
Hummer
bad.
truck.
Yep.
The Hummer H3T, 92.9. The Grenadier 1924 is 97.50.
They're badass trucks, but yeah, they look exactly like fucking Defenders.
Spitting images.
Yep.
Well, wasn't it? Who was it back in the day? Was it Toyota got
The
sued
Land-
by either Land Rover or they got sued by
Yeah, the Toyota.
because of the Land Cruiser?
yeah,
I
Land
think, wasn't it?
Cruiser. The ones
Yeah.
with the white roof. And then they brought those
Yeah.
back in the 2000 or the mid 2000s.
But they rebranded it and they rebranded it as the FJ.
Yeah. Yep, FJ Cruiser.
And what a fucking I've heard that those things are fucking turds, but
yeah, if I won the lottery, I'd buy me an Enos. Those are pretty fucking cool.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it a Grenadier. The engine gonna blow up.
It
Grenadier's
doesn't get the best gas mileage. In the
Grenadier
world.
is someone who works with fucking explosives, right? In the military.
Well, grenades,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, a Grenadier is isn't that Spanish?
Yeah, but they also use it in
Or,
British.
or no Russian or something, or no Grenada, was it Grenada or something like that? Whatever the fuck it is.
Let's see, Grenadier. World
Have
War
you
One
seen the new,
battalion subunits were trained to both throw hand grenades and blah blah blah. They obsolete. The historical name were Grenadier Guards, but yeah, they're people who threw explosives.
Have you seen the new Slate trucks, if you
Yeah.
can call them that?
Yeah.
We saw the video for him.
There's a TikTok somebody did. He said the Slate truck is nothing more than a ripoff of, I guess, in the mid 2000s, people were taking the Scions and chopping them and making them
Yeah.
into trucks. And if you look at a Slate versus a chopped Scion, they look almost identical.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you want to know what just came back out that I thought was pretty interesting too? You remember the
penis?
International Scout?
Yeah, buddy of mine.
Oh yeah.
I graduated in
Scout just came
1996,
Yeah.
and a buddy of mine's dad had like 3 of them from the 70s and 80s. He was a huge Scout guy.
Scout just came
I
out
think
as
all
its
those are-
independent manufacturer, and they just started making. They I guess they bought the rights from International or whatever the fuck it was.
Mm-hmm.
Or
International.
maybe it is. Maybe I don't think it's not International anymore. It's
Yeah.
like actually Scout as a standalone brand, and it's identical.
Aren't
to
they
the old ones.
EVs? Aren't they electric?
I think they make a model of it. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure they
Does that count though?
they have gas models of them.
I'll tell you what would be great is
I mean,
if they
not
made
to cut you
a,
off, but real quick, does that count? Because that's like when the somebody bought out the Indian name, they brought back Indian Motorcycles. It's like, well, it's not the same company. You just bought the name. So I don't know if that. To me, I don't know if that counts.
Indian?
Yeah,
They did?
yeah. There's an Indian.
thought
dealer-
Indian
yeah,
had been
probably
owned by
about
the same
10,
company.
15
No, somebody
years
bought
ago.
somebody bought the name and the rights to it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's called now it's just called Scout Motors. I don't know if it might be EV. It's the Traveler SUV and the Terra truck. Maybe it is EV.
Now, if they built one of those with a diesel in it, that would be great. Like a little
Yeah.
Cummins R 2.8, you know.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty great. They actually had a Scout like in the 80s that had a Nissan diesel in it that, you know, was pretty cool.
Believe it or not, up until 2019, there was a period of time that Nissan was putting a Cummins in their Titans, and that was their
Yeah,
Titan
but it's
XD.
not. I got excited when that came out because I love Nissan, always have.
Weren't they toying
And
around
the
with
Titans are great, but so I was expecting, you know, I popped the hood on the first one that Sutherland Nissan had,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait, that's not an inline six. You know, I was expecting it to be, you know, like the same 5.9 24 valve Cummins,
Right.
but it's like their own design, and it wasn't designed very well.
It was a special design specifically for Nissan, but it was
And it's
the Cummins
basically just a
brand,
V8 diesel, yeah.
Yeah, but
Weren't
they stopped producing them, and they because they're I guess their contract terminated and they weren't going to re-up on it. So after 2019, the 20 models through the 24 models, they were just basically putting a 5.6 endurance motor, which is the same engine that I have in my half-ton pickup truck.
Yeah.
in the 3/4 ton, or 2,500,
Yeah.
whatever, with the same transmission. So all it is the same truck with just beefier suspension and a boxed frame.
weren't they toying around with bringing back the Datsun brand for a while before they almost
I
went
think
broke?
so. Yeah,
Actually,
I think so.
I just saw a video about that the other day, and they tried it. I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, like in some place like India or somewhere. They
should
started
just-
producing Datsuns.
If they would have just brought back
And-
the Z car again, but called it the Datsun Z instead of the Nissan, because remember, 2002 they brought the Z car back for the anniversary.
Well, they've got the newer ones like that came out a year or two ago, probably a couple of years ago now, that are like the spitting image of a 240Z.
Yeah.
And they're hot little cars, but you know, of course they're limited run, you know, and they're selling them for over sticker and you know,
Yeah,
all
it's-
that kind of stuff.
It's called it's a Nissan Z is what it's called.
They dropped the number
Yeah.
off of it.
It's just about as close as you could get to an old 240 from like the 80s.
Well, fellas, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for another episode. Just a reminder, I think on the next live episode of the Scuttlebutt podcast, we're going to be giving away the Patreon April prize pack of the month. So this is for April, even though we're in May now. We want to give people, the full month sign-ups. If you haven't done so, head over to patreon.com or head over to what'sinyourhead.com. Click on the Patreon link, sign up and subscribe. This month's book, we always do giveaways, and between you and me, out of any Patreon group that you can sign up with, you'll have a higher likelihood of winning a prize on ours than you will anywhere else. So it's worth the investment. It goes a long way to help support what we do here. Head over to youtube.com, look for Poles and Paddles. That's the fishing channel Mike and I are trying to get to grow. We're getting a lot of views. The problem is now, and I'm guilty of this myself, I watch more YouTube than I watch anything, but I watch it on my TV. And a lot of people don't want to get the controller and hit up on the D-pad and hit right and hit up and hit subscribe. So a lot of people are watching the ship, and a few people are subscribing. So head over to youtube.com, look for Poles and Paddle, click on subscribe. And then if you really want to, look for Analog 410. That's where we put the archives of old past episodes of What's in Your Head, Dave the Waterman Show, What's the Scuttlebutt,
When Don
so
breaks
on
out
and so
his VHS
forth.
tapes.
And those are the analogs that we're moving over there. And then, of course, obviously D410 Media on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. And as always, we will talk to you in 2 weeks.
This has been a Digital 410 production.